Hello lovely friends, and a very warm welcome to another Lavinia stamps tutorial with me, Lisa Taggart. This week I'm doing the bokeh effect again with this Christmas project using the wonderful new release stamps. I'm calling it Dazzle. It's full of sparkle and tinsel and light. So let's begin. I'm using the watercolour card 9 by 5.5 inches. And this is the hot press version from Lavinia Stamps. I've also drawn a little hill, which is approximately 3 and a bit of the squares on the Lavinia Stamps mat, if you have that. And I'm putting in place, first of all, these bauble stroke lanterns. They're really lovely. This is just above the centre, I would say, in the middle. And then I'm going to put another one just slightly lower to the left hand side. And when that's dry, I'm going to paint on the masking fluid and let that dry and move on to this little stamp. And how cute is this? Now I've got Della Blue, dark denim and graphite in the Elements ink pads and a couple of the stencil brushes, and I'm going to do the first layer, starting off with my favourite, the Della Blue, keeping it fairly light. And the idea here is I want to lay down some dark areas, some light areas, and I want to keep around the baubles and around the little mouse and the little mouse's bauble fairly light, so almost create a sort of a halo effect. So I'm being careful not to go too close to the three of those things, and putting down this lovely Della Blue colour first of all. Circular motions with the stencil brush. It's not too rough, but it's not something you need to be too particular with at this stage. I'm going to build up the colour, and I moved on then to the denim, the dark denim colour, and emphasising the dark areas, which really are towards the middle of each side, with dark area to the top right hand side and leaving the left hand top fairly light. Moving on now to the graphite and just adding a little to emphasise those areas and make them slightly darker. Now I'm going to take my water brush and I'm going to smoosh this all around and blend it. It doesn't have to be perfectly blended. You'll see when it dries it creates a nice atmospheric kind of an effect. Now I've got a very important piece of equipment, which is a kitchen towel in one hand, and when the colour builds up too much on the brush, you can see me dabbing it off from time to time. That's so then I can squeeze more water out and do a little bit of blending and not moving the dark colour too close to where the baubles and the mouse are. So just keep it fairly light still in those areas. Squeeze a little bit of water and blend that around, and it helps mix things up and spread things about and create a little bit of texture. Now I'm taking Della Blue and I'm helping the whole thing blend by adding the Della Blue back in on top of everything. And then I think I'm going to go back to the stencil brushes and the darker colours just to brush in some darkness again. Now I'm back to painting on with the water brush, and this is Della Blue. I just want a light touch of this in the bottom. I'm sort of creating a path with a little ridge, so this is to darken the front of that down. And as I say, it's Della Blue, and then I think I take a little bit of graphite and add that in to darken it down. Now, next up I'm taking some white gouache. Now any acrylic white paint, or even if you have the white chalk paint from Lavinia stamps would do the same job. I'm flattening that down on my craft mat so I can stamp into it, and creating these snowy branches. And you can do this instead of white embossing if you're like me and have limited patience. So it just does the same job. And in this particular project, I'm also going to use it in a mint or two to blend and make it sort of more misty. So I'm taking my water brush and I'm sweeping it in the direction that it's stamped very lightly, just to blend it out and mist it down a bit, because it's going to be very much in the background. And I should add, of course, don't forget to clean off your stamps thoroughly. If you're using acrylic paint, you don't want to leave that on there. Just take a baby wipe or a damp cloth and make sure they're thoroughly cleaned so you can use them next time. So after that's complete, I'm taking a little bit of Medieval Blue in VersaFine Clair, which is a permanent ink, and just adding that on top to add back some of the maybe lost texture, just a touch, and this is an optional step. So next up I'm taking Pine Cone and this little branch, which you can use to build up different configurations, if you like, of the little pine leaves. So I'm just figuring out which direction I want them to go, so they allow me to hang the baubles, and I've added 2 or 3 and just build them up however you wish. And then you take these clever little fir branches and add them to the ends or to the middle, just wherever you fancy. And there's a couple of different sizes, and then there's a single one as well, which I don't use in this project, but I'm looking forward to using later on. Next up, I'm adding a touch of snow to the branches. I don't want them to be too brown and stark against the background, so I thought I would add white to them and also to the little fir branches as well. So I'm not going to make you sit and watch me colouring them all in white, but you get the general idea. So now for the bokeh effect. I'll take this stencil from Lavinia, which is called Orbs, I think, or White Orbs. And I'm just randomly selecting different sizes of circles, as I say, very randomly over the page. And I don't mind if I overlap them slightly and make sure that I vary the sizes of them as well. And then later on I'll take the yellow pan pastel as well and add that into the mix just to give the effect of light coming from the top left hand side. So now that all the little dots have been added, it's time to remove the masking fluid and to do some colouring in, which is a lovely stage of the project, I always find. And I'm taking my Zig Clean Colour markers. I've got this nice yellow colour, and I'm also going to use my white gel pen and mix that in because the gel pen is water soluble and so of course is the white Posca pen if you're using that. It just helps mix the colours, although these pens really mix well without the white, but I wanted to create a sort of a mistier colours. So I've got, as you can see, sort of a dark red and a mid-tone pink, a light pink and a yellow, and now I've brought in brown to mix in with that for the deeper tone. So I've completed the tiny dots, and I also darkened up that edge a little bit with more Della Blue, and I thought this front right hand side was very bare, so last minute I decided that our little mouse needed a friend, and thankfully I've kept it fairly light at the front, so I was able to sneak in another mouse and just colour that in the same way. And his little umbrella, or her little umbrella, is the same tones as the baubles. So, and now I'm taking these lovely snowflakes and adding 3 of those, and why not, just to jazz it up a bit. And then for the final touch, using this waterfall stickles to fill in all the little circles on the baubles, because of course they need to dazzle and provide the obligatory sparkle. So friends, that just about wraps up this week's project. I hope you enjoyed it. And here's a quick close-up look at all the little elements. And now that the stickles has dried, you can see how it twinkles there. And the little stickers catching the light as well. And one tip is, if your bokeh from the pastel is getting too blurry or blurs away altogether, you can take your acrylic paint and just with a sponge dab on top, and I have done that for a couple of them just to restore them. So thanks for joining me today, and I can't wait to see what you create. I hope you get hold of the new release stamps, which are glorious as ever. And until next time, of course, take good care of yourselves. But above all, get creating, be brave, and do enjoy the adventure.